All right. I could let the fly low play out to the end, but he just goes in so many different directions. Figured I'd just start it up. All right. How's everyone doing? Let's get a quick mic check. Jake, I just brought you up as a co-host. Anaroth, I brought you up as a speaker. Rain, you should be up as a speaker. Let's just go around the horn, see how everyone's doing. GM.
GM. Good morning. I got you all. Good muons.
Good muons.
GM.
Good
GM,
muons, good muons. That's all I want to hear. Dun, dun, 'cause they don't know you like I do.
Good muons. Yeah, muons really, it finds its way basically into every conversation I have these days. It is one of the most malleable words I think that we've come up with in the ECU for sure.
Amen.
Amen to that. Amen
the
to
best
that.
thing is too, actually, okay, how do you pronounce our special guest? How do you say the name again?
Well, I guess I was referring to him as Anaroth, but Anaroth, do you like Anaroth, or is there another pseudonym that you'd like us to go by? I'm down for anything.
I mean, I'm like quasi-doxed, but like I like not doxed. So like I feel like more people call me Anaroth than my real name. It's just weird at that point because like that's where all the things
I like it. I like it.
So like that works for me.
Anaroth sounds distinguished too. I kind of love. Is there like an origin of the name? Anything that you can share?
It is the nerdiest shit ever. Am I allowed to swear? I'm sorry.
Is it a World of Warcraft boss? I just went before you say it. That this shit came to my mind. I'm getting the vibe.
I did play World of Warcraft for a very long time, but no, it might actually be nerdier depending on your scale. But it's when I was a dungeon master playing D&D in New York with some of my friends. There was this evil wizard that we created as like this boss. His name was Anaroth, like crazy fireball wizard. And my friends were like, we're going to take this guy on. And I was like, I didn't really plan for you guys to do this at this point. And they're like, we're good. I'm like, you can die, right? They're like, we're in. And they walk into this tower and he like casts a fireball or whatever. He like one-shots one of the people and they like run away and drag out that guy's body. And they're like, well, probably shouldn't have done that. I'm like, don't know what to tell you. But yeah, so there's this like evil wizard. I don't know why, like that was the thing that initially like came to mind when I wanted to create my NFT era persona here. But I'm like, yeah, that works. And now it literally just is what I am called the majority of the time. I'm like, cool, that works for me. But nerdiest backstory ever.
I love no. It's D&D parties in New York were a thing. And you know what's crazy too? D&D parties, they kind of take on a life of their own. It's more than Dungeons and Dragons. It's more than just playing the game. At least the one, like I did go to a couple myself. But I also play World of Warcraft. So you're in good company here. There's, one of our community members, literally his name is Nerdy Sage. So you're not alone here. We got, all different sorts of people from all different, parts of the world. This morning we were talking about etchings on ancient tablets that have secret meanings for our Friday Bertathon, which is like a competition we do every week. So it's all welcome here. I love the name is just it sounds like distinguished and different and but familiar at the same time. I've been meaning to ask you actually about that, Anaroth, because we've had a couple of good conversations, you and I, and I've always wondered. Ebert, we did a Bertathon about the origin name of Ebert. Ebert is not, I would say, not as maybe not as deep of a meaning, but it's definitely not as cool. I think that if you're familiar with Roger Ebert, he was a film critic. That's one of the origins of the name Ebert. And then also EBE stands for extraterrestrial biological entity. So it's a bit of like a duality to the meaning. Which is actually something I don't know if I've mentioned that to you, but it's a little secret nugget in the name because there always has to be. You gotta have some meaning, some depth to your name.
And real quick, man. A lot of I think people know this, but I'm a super. Yeah, you can curse, by the way, just so you know, man. It's off the cuff. Well, actually, I don't know.
Absolutely.
Are we supposed to curse? I always curse. I have no fucking idea.
You can be as flagrant as you want. It's space from the deep. You can. It's like basically it's your space, not mine.
It's down and dirty. It's down and dirty in the deep. Mm-hmm. I'm here for it. I'm a super fucking nerd, bro. Super nerd, and I'm like one of those nerds too. That's like it's very stereotypical. In the sense of like you know, like I played college football, right? You know, blah blah. I'm not gonna say like, you know, the jock, blah blah blah, all that bullshit. But you know, like all my best friends were like, you know, athletes, and then just like hyper fucking nerds, bro. Like hard. We would do D&D nights. We do fucking Magic the Gathering card game nights and shit, bro. I'd like throw a party at my house, and like, you know, I would get a lot of the guys that weren't nerdy, and I'd be like, nah, motherfucker, we're gonna crack some beers at the age of 16, and we're gonna play some fucking D&D. And they'd be like, Randy, you kidding me, bro? Where the hoes at? What's happening? And I was like, nah, motherfucker, this shit'll get your heart pumping way more than that. Way more. Let me show you a mimic chess. Let me tell you about a mimic chess. You like gambling? Let me show you how to really gamble, man. But no, I'm a huge
for all of our degeneracy.
No, absolutely.
Magic was for me too. I mean, I went crazy on Magic. I think I had at one point like 5 or 6 different Magic decks. Like I just, it was just an infinite, like you could just kind of like mix and match as much as you want. Like I loved it. I loved all that stuff. It's probably like in a big way, like an amalgam of the way that we make things and the art and all that. It's just like, you can kind of see it. You can see it. And I also love finding people who are also like into that stuff too, because that was like such a big part of my life when I was young coming up. Like all of my friends, we went to the comic store on weekends and we played Magic on like Sundays. That was church. That was church.
I fucking love it. I love it. Now, real quick, Ebert, I know you got an agenda and all this stuff. I have something I have to share. Okay, I have something very, very important I have to share. So, and don't judge me. Okay.
Is it about Mikey?
No.
Please tell me Mikey's okay.
Well, oh no, Mikey was actually down to come on the space today. Now, the problem was, apparently he's been listening to the X Spaces, because I wanted to get him warmed up and be like, okay, you know, make sure you like the vibe of what's going on here before you pull on an Anaroth. Don't worry about Uncle Mikey. You know, you'll probably be here next week, whatever the fuck. You don't want to miss the Uncle Mikey space before we dive into that. But he didn't know he has to have an X account. And so like I said, Mikey's very he's nervous. He's been listening as what is it? Like, I guess a guest, you know, whatever it is. Like, you can listen to spaces without an X account, but obviously you can't talk to them. And you show up as an anonymous listener. So he just Uncle Mikey shit, bro. He's nervous. He's nervous about making an account. He thinks the government's going to get him.
Go back and listen to Space from the Deep episode 1. You hear me. I was shaking. I was shaking.
Well, no. He's not nervous about talking. He's nervous that the government's going to find him.
Oh,
that's his.
That type of nervous.
Yeah, okay, he's nervous.
That's a different type of nervous.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
He's not wanted. He's not on the run, you know.
No, we're not talking about the pyramids on next week's space or something like that. No matter. Like he'd be fine. He'd be fine. We won't post the recording. How about that? We got to incentivize. I'll give him some Ebert. I mean, it's a perfect opportunity. For those that don't know, Uncle Mikey, I mean, we've talked about Uncle Mikey a lot. So I don't think that they're really, at this point, maybe we don't really give any context. Maybe just Mikey shows up.
He just shows up.
Yeah, I think he just dropped.
We don't even tell him who he is. And I'll make his X account just be something random. Fucking random. Yeah. Okay, though. So let me say this. So I watched a movie that I have not ever seen before. Shocked me that I hadn't seen this before. Never even heard of it. Okay. And this is why you're gonna get mad at me, because it's a Christopher Nolan film. Let's see if you can guess. Christopher Nolan film.
Following.
Early 2000s, I believe. Maybe like 99 or 2001 or 2, I believe. I think so.
I think Following was 99. I don't know when Following was, but it was one of his first films. But I might be wrong.
No, it's not that one. So it's Memento.
Oh, I love Memento. Oh, come on. Yes. You've never seen it?
Never seen it, bro. Fucked me up. Fucked me up.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Fucked me up. I rarely have to go on Reddit, write movie ending explained, Memento. And I was just like, man, what the fuck just happened, bro? What just happened to my mans, bro?
Crazy.
And it's just, 10 out of 10 movie. Highly recommend. But I had to put that out there. Let it be known that I saw that movie. Love the movie. If you haven't seen it, go see it. But there we go. Okay, so take it away, Ebert.
No, you can just see, you can see where the obsession with time came from. Like, he's always been obsessed with it. And that's what I love. Like, it's really the one thing that is so consistent throughout his movies. And I don't know any other director that does that. I mean, I think like Gaspar Noé has a lot of consistency in his work, but Nolan really, like, he's always exploring the same thing, and he's always exploring time. But I had a movie drop that I wanted to drop in as well that I just watched recently that it's like I kind of rediscovered. It's a gem, and I've always loved this movie. It's Brazil by Terry Gilliam. If no one has seen Brazil, and they don't know who Terry Gilliam is the director behind most of the Monty Python stuff. So Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Life of Brian, some of their sketch work, but most of the sketch work was originally written by like John Cleese and all those guys. So Terry Gilliam is an American director that worked with the troupe, and he did a lot of his own independent films. Brazil is one that I would highly recommend. It's kind of this like anti-totalitarian movie. It's a good movie to watch right now. So I would definitely recommend Brazil. It was made in 1985. It's kind of like 80s noir stylistic. It's amazing. And it's also hilarious. And De Niro makes I think a cameo in Brazil as well. So you can't go wrong. But I wanted to kind of drop that before I went into our little overview as a quick movie of the day. So if you guys are new here, welcome to Space from the Deep. This is episode 15. So we are moving week to week. We've stayed consistent. We're getting pretty good at it. Here's what we got on tap for the day. We ran our Bertathon this morning. The correct answer was submitted. So there was a Bert from the BAT this morning that put their answer in. I didn't drop the winning GIF on Telegram. I figured we would wait, bring people onto the space, tell everybody hi, say what's up, and also congratulate our winner in public, because I think that that's the best way. Give them their flowers and thank them for participating. We'll do that in a few minutes. I wanted to get through a couple of other things first, just so everybody who's in here gets a bit of a project update, some of the things that we're working on, and a couple of other small details. So I pinned a post to the top of the space. If you guys haven't seen, Jesse has been equipping different projects PFPs. I'm looking at you, Meyer, because Meyer's been in his comment section every day, all day, making sure that he is seeing the HB that we created for him. But if you guys don't know what the HBs are, they're basically hand-drawn portraits. We release maybe 1 or 2, sometimes 0 every Sunday to outstanding community members. Hand-drawn. I'm always up on Saturday night drawing these things, but I love drawing them. And I think that it's basically just kind of a token of our appreciation toward people who are really putting in the effort, helping us grow, posting on X, communicating in Telegram, having conversations, showing love, all of those things. We made one exception for Jesse because he's kind of the first builder on base. He's not in our Telegram. He's not, and he bought some Ebert tokens. So that's, I guess, good enough. But we did drop this to his wallet. If you have a chance, go to that post, maybe drop a comment on it, engage with it. And if you want to take it the extra step, go to Jesse's profile and maybe drop this image on a couple of his posts about the PFPs. That would be awesome. So for today's structure, we're going to go through a couple things. I wanted to primarily focus in with Anaroth today because he's our special guest. Anaroth is from Atrium. Atrium is basically an all-inclusive production studio that they kind of launched in Web3, which is kind of unprecedented for an animation studio, an award-winning animation studio launching in Web3. They have a roster of over 100 incredible artists behind them working towards big properties like The Rise of Blues, which is an 8-part series. It's being funded through Nouns. They're behind the Meetquack franchise, which is available and viewable mostly on Instagram. They have millions, I think billions of views. Anaroth, I'll let you correct me if I'm wrong there. But they are behind some of the biggest IPs that we've really seen coming out of Web3. So I'm excited to welcome Anaroth on here today to have a conversation about IPs as they're grown and evolved in the Web3 space. And I wanted to kind of focus in on that today mostly. We'll do a couple of project updates towards the end. But I think that, the updates mostly were covered in our IDD this Wednesday. So if you haven't seen that, it's pinned in Telegram. So a few updates, mostly web stuff, which we're kind of trying to gun down for early next week to launch some of those web updates that we have. Wallet Connect, buy on the site, a couple of special announcements that will also be kind of running. So That's all in the works as well. Websites are always a crazy thing in Web3, but what I've said about our site is that it needs to be a hub, kind of a gateway to our franchise, to our project. People need to be able to sink their teeth into our site, engage with it, buy tokens, mint NFTs, do all different sorts of things on our site, directly on the site itself. So that's what we've been working on. And I think without further ado, I wanted to just kind of kick it over to Anaroth, and maybe if you would, Anaroth, other than giving us the origin story of your name, which is epic, by the way, maybe give us a quick introduction on what you do at Atrium, kind of how you found your way toward the Web3 space, and maybe a couple of things that you've been working on as of recent.
And real quick, in any IP flexes, for I'm curious. I'm already very curious, so I'm just putting that out there. But yeah,
if you don't, I will.
Throw that in.
No problem. So like my origin is very different than, like, I had no crypto exposure before 2021 for the most part. I never even really used Twitter before NFTs at that point. But I had worked for Apple for about 15 years in retail. I helped open stores. I was a manager at the retail stores. Like, it gave me a lot of confidence in like learning how to communicate with people, but it wasn't what I wanted to do anymore. And I was just kind of like fucking about online. And I was on Twitter, which was actually Twitter at the time. And I remember coming across my boss, Sapiro, and I saw his profile and it says like, we're hiring. It was this this company startup that he was making, and I'm just like, I'm going to check this out. So I just DM'd him, I'm like, what is this? And I think one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in the last 3 years is like curiosity pays off. And I didn't realize that curiosity was a skill, I think, until these past few years. He's like, hey, take a look at our website. Let me know what you think. And like, shoot me an email with any thoughts and ideas. Cool. I sent him like this whole thing, like, this is what I would do differently. This is what I like. This is what I don't like. Here's where I feel like I'm clicking too much. Like, this is like just feedback, right? He invites me into a conversation. He's like, hey, you want to have a call? At this point, like, I still am just like exploring all of this stuff. I'm a total noob. Like, I don't know what a hardware wallet is. I'm very confused about like half of the stuff that I'm doing. I tell my friend at the time, like, I'm pretty sure, like, maybe he's gonna offer me like a Discord job, and I'm like, who knows? Like, I was literally ready to just kind of like step away from Apple and just be like, I've saved some money. I'm just gonna like figure it out. Like, I'm just burnout. I'm gonna figure it out. We get into a call. He's like, I like you. I want you to talk to our the co-founder. I'm like, cool. Talk to him. He's like, I like you. You should talk to the other guy again. I get back on the phone and Spear's like, I'd like you to join our company. I'm like, the fuck? Uh, and since then, I think my official title was like head of community, but it's a startup, right? And it's the first startup that I've ever worked for. It's wildly different than my only real job experience, which was Apple for 15 years, which is super structured. Everything is in a very specific place. There's tons of guidelines. And now I have no schedule. I just kind of like work and do things as it fits. There's no structure. There's no clear, this is what you do to have success. And my whole life is just like ambiguity. I'm just figuring things out. And I've learned that I love that. So when you ask me, like, what do I do at Atrium? Like, my job is to help make our startup successful. Like, does that mean I go on spaces and talk? Sure. Does it mean I have calls with Eric? Yeah. Like, whatever, right? Like, is it that I'm going to help any fledgling group of people or project or person that is starting to realize that they have a dream to create something and they don't know where to start? Like, I hope I can be that bridge. uh I think we talk a lot in Web3 on like, what does the first experience look and feel like for people when they come into our space? And knowing how awkward it was for me, I think creates a really good experience when you have a conversation with someone who maybe doesn't have any real practical experience in Web3, but they're starting to learn like things can happen here that don't happen elsewhere. And I think opportunity is a big part of what Atrium has been able to offer a lot of people, both like ourselves and our company, but others as well, in being able to create the majority of content that you've probably seen from Web3 at like a really high caliber. Um, if we want to talk about some like IP flexes, I know we threw around some numbers. Meetquack is like less than 2 years old, 2.1 million followers. One of the reels, which is pinned on the top of their page. And like I will shamelessly ask, just so you know, like if you're listening right now and you don't follow Meetquack on Instagram, like you click the follow button. They're adorable. They're cute AF. Like
You
you got
have
to
to.
do it. But one of the pinned reels has over 310 million views. It's one of the top 10 reels in Instagram history, which is like that's just ridiculous. And then if you look at the Giphy page for Atrium, which hosts all of the Meetquack gifs and stickers, it recently crossed 5 billion views. And like that's like a lot, like a lot. I remember Pudgy Penguins were celebrating like when they broke like 5 billion and 10 billion, but they also have this community of like what's possible, like how am I able to use this community in a positive way to build exposure. Like gifts are a big part of that, and I think one of the playbooks that Pudgies did really well is leveraging and encouraging their owners and their holders to proliferate their gifts at like nauseum. Like that is why everyone would see a Pudgy Penguin gif everywhere, even if they were just a normie, right? And I think there's some really good lessons in there for like what's happened, and like we've talked about like how do we implement some of these things for what does that mean for Ebert, right? And I think there's a lot of really good lessons that the space have shown us, and like a big part of what my job is, at least what I think it is, and I still have a job, so I guess I'm doing it well enough, is like how do you synthesize what you're observing from other people so when someone does come to you and they're looking for advice, they're looking for guidance, how are you giving them the best shot whenever they choose to launch something? And I've found that's probably like the funnest part of my job. And I would say like that's a little bit about who I am. If that kind of answers like my random background, I'm still confused at like what my job is sometimes. I'll be perfectly honest with you. Like I love that. But I've learned to exist in a very ambiguous and kind of just like open place that like I'm down for. Like it's changed like crypto as a whole, not just Atrium. Like crypto has changed the way I think about what's possible for my career, my future, and like whatever it is I plan to do. And I wish more people had that feeling about crypto because it's not just like the scammy casino. Like my life is different because of it, and I appreciate that very much. And new things are possible because of it.
That's like, yeah, that's perfect. I think that there really is no playbook, right? Like that you get into this space, and I think that like I've been dabbling in the space for years, since 2018, but there's a very different level of kind of mystique when you are working in this space, like legitimately working for a career, as opposed to, let's say, trading or investing or following charts. Or it's a very different space to navigate as a founder. It's a very different space to navigate as, an employee of a startup. Like things really do change, and there's really no playbook. I think that really resonates with me, because when I founded Ebert, when we launched in June, I was like, I don't know what to do. And big shout out to people like T-Crypt and MJ and Danny and some of our earliest. These guys were with us from the very, very beginning, who kind of saw that I was a bit like, to say overwhelmed would be an understatement, because I had no idea what to do, no idea what to focus on. I had a plan, yes, but around that plan, there were all these other things to consider. And part of what I wanted to talk to you about today, Anaroth, was just we're taking this Web 2 pipeline, this production Web 2 pipeline, and we're kind of retrofitting it to a space that offers technology that, allows us to change the way that this pipeline is approached, and maybe even expedite certain parts of the pipeline, and circumnavigate some of the overhead and some of the friction that you experience in the Web 2 space. And that to me was when I saw what Superhero was doing, and when I saw what you were doing, and when I really started talking to you, I realized that we really do think the same about maybe some of the woes that the Web 2 pipeline has. And that's the world that I came from. I did over 10 years in New York, like working on movies and commercials and stuff. So I'm so familiar with kind of where that friction is and where the red tape is. the solution really feels like it's something that has to be kind of decentralized and open to allow for like more of a creative approach to the pipeline that isn't backed into corners or isn't only possible due to nepotism and, you know, some of the people that kind of are the old guard who don't want to let, you know, the unions and some of these, you know, these groups that kind of lock in the way that things were done. And I think that something to mention too for you, Anaroth, is, and for everybody on here, I think our first conversation was so interesting. We talked about Ebert. We talked about who is Ebert, what we want to do. Everybody in here knows that I can rant. Everybody in here knows that I have a lot of passion for Ebert, that I've been working on Ebert since 2020. I've been writing about Ebert fervently since 2020. Like I can't get the guy out of my head. It feels like this character that I need to bring to life and take it to the highest levels of production that I possibly can. So after our first conversation, Anaroth dropped me a document back, and he's like, here's some of the themes. Here's just some of the things, some of the notes that I just wrote down. And to say that he kind of understood really the deepness of what Ebert is, it was so perfect. I read through that document. I was like, wow, just kind of stopped dead in my tracks for a second, because it's rare that you talk to people who just really understand almost immediately not only what you're trying to do, but like the deep message behind what you're trying to do as well. Like, you know, he really understood that. And when you find people like that in this space, you kind of have to latch on them and be like, all right, you get it. Okay, don't go anywhere. Let's try and build this thing. Like, you know, what can we do with it? How far can we take it? And, you know, finding people who also have experience that I'm unfamiliar with, let's say Web2 platforms like Instagram and growing on Instagram, and finding people who have that type of background, who have already seen IPs through to just staggering numbers, is also something that's super exciting for Ebert, for us as a team, as a community, because their guidance and their experience, I think, is really starting to help kind of shepherd the way that we're looking at things. Giphy was something I never even thought of, but you know, the way that we talked about it was, it's basically like really important and big metrics that we can use for marketing, for all different sorts of things. And it also gets the character out into the world in a more, let's say, we're casting a wider net by doing things like that. And I think a Web2 strategy is one that does cast a wider net. So yeah, I think great background, great context. I'd never heard your backstory, so it's really interesting to hear kind of where you came from and how you found your way to Web3. And I think that we've all found this space in such unique ways, but I think we all understand that what this space offers is something that is sovereign, something that is free, and may very well be the answer to those who are trying to build their own ideas and trying to build original IPs in the way that works for them. So I think that we are very early in that pursuit, in blazing that path, but I think it's a really important path to blaze. Jake, I want to kick it over to you, because you were the very same as, you know, like the way that you and I had our first discussions about Ebert. You kind of just got it right away. And I think that some of the things that resonated with you were like the things that I've always been thinking about as well, when it came to what we're trying to accomplish and why.
Ooh. Well, where do we dive in on that in terms of our curiosity? Yeah, you know, Ebert, it was nearly instant for me, for sure. You know, of course, I want to dive in and do some due diligence, right, and investigate. You know, having been around here for, I don't know, probably too long. And Anaroth, first of all, I want to say it's really nice to meet you, man. And it doesn't matter if you're new in Web3 or if you've been around for, you know, well over a decade. The space is changing so rapidly, you know, with tech integrations, foundational tech, and what we're creating now, even in L1 land, that, you know, welcome to the party, right? And there's plenty of opportunities to explore, as you're already doing it right now. And then you can really dive in and kind of create your own world. I find it more of an immersive metaverse than the actual metaverse, in a way. Not just yet. Like, you can build so many things on a distributed ledger platform. But kind of going back, yeah, you know, Eric, on the curiosity that really struck out. Yeah, I mean, we were talking consciousness, right? And what is, you know, the pathway or potential pathways in our multiverse to experience a multiverse? What are the enigmatic artifacts that have been left behind for us to discover that to this day still don't make sense if you're looking, solely through the eyes of an anthropologist? And Ebert just hit all of it, right? And I'm like, ooh, it's like this is right up, man. Kind of like Chris Nolan, right? If we had a project about time, there's probably a good chance Nolan could even be on this call right now and be like, hell yeah, and we'd be talking about Kairos time and Chronos time. So it's rare when a project comes along to fuse these elements together in the spirit of an enigmatic world. And then to me, what I absolutely love is that curiosity is always primed. And this is my invitation, again, to everybody, that when your curiosity is ignited, that's when you free your chains. That's when you break out of your own prison constructed by your mind, when you become curious. And the ancients had many words for it. Not all the words came down into English. And what we speak today, an old one would be curiful, full of curiosity. Ancient Greek word. Also came from Aramaic as well. And that was your pathway out, of, wow, this is exciting. This is interesting. And hell, I don't know what any of this is, but why do I like it so much? Like one of those feelings. And we all have had them. And Ebert brought all of that to the forefront in me. And it still does, right? I saw the bat this morning and I'm like, hang on, no one won. I didn't see the winner post. I'm like, okay, because you started at 5 a.m, like my time. Like, there's no way I could, get up and compete then. Oh, I'm like, oh my God, there's a chance. All right, I'm coming in hot. And then you said there was a winner. I think HG said something in the Telegram. I'm like, no. But that's the enigmatic sense of the presence. That's awesome. And we have, some really cool integrations in tech and the Web3 fabric coming to really embrace and support that. And then when you wrap that or even unravel this, all of this in our ecosystem into film, I mean, wow, right? Like an actual franchise that is now in its genesis stage, birthing into its own existence, which is its own enigmatic flair and how we perceive it. So there's so many different, not only just directions we, can pursue in our strategy, but also what ignites our curiosity in the process. And so that's my invitation, really, right? If you're curious about something, drop it in the chat. Right? You're curious about, I don't know, dimensional understanding. Why the hell is string theory not quite connecting to quantum mechanics? By the way, there's actually a few new equations that are. One of the very first equations just came out in December. Yeah, December of less than 30 days ago. It's theoretically unifying relativity with quantum functions, right? And that's mind blowing. That we've been looking for that for well over 30 years, right? This is coming out now, so I feel like this is part of the lore of where we go, in Ebert. So yeah, man, curiosity. It got me ignited. It got me here, and I'm going to be here.
It's all about curiosity. It's why we have no idea where Ebert came from. Ignite the curiosity always, every day, always. I think that curiosity is the thing that probably led me here. And it's the thing that led me away from an industry that I think was kind of doing me dirty. The film and TV world is definitely one that can take and not give very much back. The antics and the industry as it is very geared towards the people at the top, which again, capitalism, like it happens in every vertical, it happens in every industry, but at the very same time, we try and explore subjects that do encourage curiosity. And I think that, the way that I've kind of mentioned Ebert is the mission really is to encourage like a personal evolution and a transcendence with people, because it's like those things are not really mutually exclusive. Like you kind of have to have one to find the other. Like a personal transcendence or a personal evolution can come from being perpetually curious about things, about anything, about where we came from, why we're here, what the universe is, all different sorts of introspective work that can kind of lead you to answers mostly about yourself. The answers are mostly inside, as opposed to being on the internet or elsewhere. And we've talked about that a lot on Spaces, with like a lot of the UFO lore and a lot of the mystery that kind of finds its way into the media. But we encourage people to kind of really decide for themselves more often than not, and that's the whole mission. Like, that really is Ebert. It's like, it's kind of up to you. Where he came from, who he is, what he can do, how he can do it. And, the fact that we are kind of on the cusp of really turning a new leaf with the way that Ebert looks, the way that he moves, the way that it sounds, is a really exciting thing, because I think the expansion of people's, let's say, interpretation of this character is going, like, the ceiling's going to be blasted off, I feel, as we start to kind of release a lot of the things that we've been working on. I wanted to ask too, like, the 3D process. Anaroth, you're familiar with the 3D process. You oversee this process a lot, and you've probably seen different iterations of it. Why do you think Web3 is just such a good place to foster this process versus, let's say, going to like a Pixar or kind of working under a large umbrella in a Web2 world?
I think when you're starting something as an IP, like, the idea is really nascent and it's fragile. And while I haven't had any conversations with Pixar, I don't imagine that I would be having the same personal conversation that, like, you and I have, where we get to ask a lot of nitty-gritty questions, follow in, and actually develop an idea, versus them, where, like, this is what we're going to do. The process is going to take infinitely longer. And I think the speed at which Web3 expects things to happen and animation is kind of a tough tug of war. I don't think it's impossible by any means. I think it just takes good planning. And that's what we didn't see, I think, in the bull run of 2021. Like, for example, lessons that we $20, but $6. Had they paid $10 million, made a movie, that movie would be finishing right now as they peak back into a bull run. Now, you don't know those things are going to happen, but you do know long form animation takes time, and being able to build that animation in public is something that is very different than what we are used to seeing in Web 2.
Yep,
Have to be confident
exactly.
about sharing things in public, right? Like, that's the other thing. And what a lot of people don't know around this, like, building in public, because it can just sound like, oh, that's builder talk, whatever. Which, yes, I understand that. But from an artist point of view, you may not be aware at how often they will work on a project for years and no one actually ends up seeing it, because maybe it doesn't even get released, and then they can't use it in their portfolios because it's all under NDA and contract agreements. For Atrium, like, not only is it good for us to be able to show off the work we do, share work in progress, share the process as it's going along, it allows the artists in our network to get recognized for their work. One of the things that Sapiro talks about a lot is, well, yes, there is this increasing development in technology. The human spirit and, like, what will create animation and the ability to kind of, like, foster that from the ground and build something up is still something that connects with people in a different way. And I think the unique part around Web3 is people are clamoring. Again, maybe this is me in my bubble, but people are clamoring for something different. We've seen the burnout of Hollywood. Like, they're trying to reshape who they are, figure out where they need to go. The sequel on top of sequel on top of sequel. I get why they do it, right? Like, I don't know if you're familiar with, like, Hollywood related things. Like, think about it. If you've made Frozen 1 and it made hundreds of millions of dollars, and you already developed all these character models, you could start from scratch and invest another $200 million on something that may or may not be a hit, or you're just going to ride out that franchise for as long as you can, because not only are you making the films, then you're doing all the extra, like, toys and accessories and everything else. Like, it makes sense. But what I think people want to talk about, what will actually change, like, public discourse and dialogue, is when crypto, this Web3 entity, begins producing content and IP that attracts in the same way that we see things kind of take over in a Web 2 world. I think specifically, if it were me, um, the adult animation, like, segment as a whole feels very ripe for, like, the audience that is crypto. in the people that would enjoy something like that, but would also transfer over. I think the one thing historically, just again, like in my opinion, when you think about creating this and why I think Web3 is an interesting place for this, is in the past, I think people tried to force crypto things into every animation that came from here. And I don't think that's a necessity. I think creating great content is the base foundation. And then in doing so, you'll be able to attract the people that you want to do. And a lot of great content comes with great lore and a great foundation, like a depth of what you're going to be able to dive into as it kind of grows. And I think Eric's done a really good job. I mean, he said this earlier, right? He's like, he's been passionate about this for 3 years. But where technology is now, where we find ourselves in the companies that are being created now, is the first time that he's really finding an opportunity to pursue things in this way. And I hope that for crypto as a whole, there are many more Erics. Like I think more and more people are going to discover that there is this opportunity, and that opportunity exists here in ways that it does not exist elsewhere. And frankly, I think there's a lot of independent people who are going to discover that they have new creative outlets in the coming years. And some of those people are going to have capital, and they're going to do some really fun things. Uh, One more thing, and then I'll stop ranting for a second. The thing I think about a lot, if you think about like the 80s and like the stock market boom, people made a ton of money, a ton of money. And it was all this like young money. It was like younger generation money. And that's actually when you saw this shift to platinum watches as like a luxury good. They want to distinguish themselves from like their grandparents had gold watches. They're like, F that, no, platinum watches. When I think about what could happen in these next couple years, you're going to have diehard crypto people who have been in trenches accumulating for a very long time and have now experienced multiple bull and bear markets. And if things go like how people think, a lot of people will have expendable income to spend on weird niche interests and projects for the very first time. And I think we're going to see some really fun things happen because of that. And I even think like a lot of people are big on the meme coin train for like our meme coins, the NFTs of this cycle. And if that happens, a meme coin with an IP, with an ability to actually produce and grow a story and narrative, I think that's kind of cool. Like I do. I think those are the things that can kind of really blow up and act in sequence with where this cycle is going. And I also think that if one does that, it's going to set a precedent for a lot of others in a way that can really shift the conversation that we have about content. Um, and again, like if I want to think really, really big, the coin that goes to 1 billion market cap could fund a lot of content, right? And like you never know which coin it is. But for example, like what if Pepe just decided to start funding content because they could? Right? Like there's so much that exists that like a little spark is going to ignite if one person is successful with it. And I think Eric is a really passionate individual that sees like, hey, I think this is my time to take a swing. I think that's awesome, right? Like I really do, because the experience is going to be a part of it, but it's also like he seems like the guy that you should want to take a swing. Okay, end rant. I'm done ranting.
One of the best rants I've heard on Space from the Deep. I don't have a soundboard, but if I could do the boom, 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 boom horn, I would. Although I think it's a bit corny, but that was, yeah, no, that basically is like same wavelength on so many things. So many of the things that we've talked about, Anaroth, in this space, and so many of the earliest conversations I've had with people like Rain, for example, who saw these very same things resonate with what you just said. The tug of war is very real. But I think that the important note to drop is that if the earliest trailblazers in a paradigm shift didn't experience friction, they wouldn't be doing it right. I think if it was easy, if the avenue was open and wide and approachable and not scary at all, I mean, the juice wouldn't be worth the squeeze. And I think that what we're noticing is, yes, this tug of war does exist. There's been kind of a transient mentality of speed that exists in a space that has a bit of a gambling mindset in one way, but at the same time, it does offer some of these outlets to make things real. And the flows of volume cannot be, you can't deny. I think that something else to note, that when Pixar makes a movie, I'd say on average, it's around 150 to $200 million. And it's about 4 years of work. And like you said, a lot of those artists who work on those films are never, ever discovered. And then sometimes, like, let's say, perfect example, I was really excited about the Marvin the Martian movie. There was a 3D movie, kind of quasi hybridization of live action and Marvin the Martian in 3D that was going to come out. People worked on it for a long time. A trailer dropped, and then all of a sudden they shelved it. They just pulled it off the market. Trailer disappeared. Nothing ever happened. Who knows? But there were great animators who actually built the model of Marvin in 3D who will never be known. And I think that these are the things that what I intend to do with Who is Ebert will fix, just because we've got all these great artists who are kind of finding their way to the IP in a very natural way. And we are building in public. It is a part of this industry that I think differs in a great way from the Web 2 world, where there's all this, well, let's hold it back. We have to hold it, because you really never know what the people from the top are going to decide. And what I did know is that if I tried to make this in the Web 2 world, and I want to kick it over to Rain too, because he has a lot of experience in gaming development from early stage to like full-fledged release, launch, big successful games, right? And I think that the film world, especially when it comes to animation, is kind of the same. Like, you have an idea, and there are a lot of people who have money who say, hey, we love your idea. Let's buy it from you. We'll buy that IP, and then we'll kind of decide what to do with it, whether they shelve it for a few years or whether they, decide to maybe make it and go into production with it. It's like kind of beyond your control. And I think that, being almost like a first to market in some of these ways, which it's few and far between. I see a couple of other projects doing it, like Jim on Solana, I think, is one. Obviously everything that Anaroth has been working on, Rise of Blues, Meetquack. Like, these are the IPs that are like, this is the content. And what happens if Ethereum says, hey, we want to launch a streaming platform, or Base wants to launch a streaming platform, and they need to hoover up a bunch of content? Who's going to be there at the door ready to go is going to be people like us. We're going to have the content made, and it's mostly because we bridged with Web 2 experience, and we kind of saw this avenue, which, yes, it's going to take a little time, but I think that it's early, in that respect. It is very early in that respect. What do you think, Rain?
Yeah, I was saying, you want me to dive in there, or what? I think, first off, I have to say this. I got hyper fixated on certain things. Do you know the actor Jesse Eisenberg?
Yeah.
Okay. Anaroth, are you Jesse Eisenberg?
I think it's funny that you're not the first person that said that.
Voice,
but I'll take it. Ebert, like hell yes, Ebert. Hell yes.
Articulate as a
bro.
Yeah.
Think about it. Animation studio. I would not be surprised. This is actually just Jesse Eisenberg under a different alias that took a lot of the money he made from the film industry and then went into Anaroth, launched Anaroth, right? But like with the whole kind of Web3 credibility thing, it might look a little strange, to have a very successful Web2 actor going to Web3. There's a theory there, and I think I'm fucking on it. All right?
Let the tinfoil hats fly, baby.
Dude, and I'll get down to business on the discussion here, but I mean, dude, fuck, it was. I was sitting there, I was like, dude, this guy's voice is so familiar. He's so well articulated, and the punchline on his sentences, and I was like, holy fuck. It's that guy from The Social Network, Jesse Eisenberg. Holy fuck, it's Jesse Eisenberg. Okay, all
queued up in the background to make sure, just to like cross-reference.
I mean, dude, yeah, I pulled it on my second monitor. I was like, I swear, this motherfucker, man, this is him. This is him. Great actor, by the way. If that is or not you, I love your work. Honestly, I think you're like the upgraded version of Michael Cera. So well done. Okay. Yeah, what's you gotta reel me in a little bit here, man. My mind kind of went all over the place. I told you I was hyper fixated on it. I couldn't stop.
Let's do this.
My brain on.
Let's do this. What were the things for you, Rain? Like when you and I first talked, right? Like you and I had some really early conversations about why building like a film franchise in this way was so different. and you've experienced the Web3 space in like a very multifaceted way. You strategic partner with all different sorts of projects, whether that's like strictly a meme project like Chad, or if it's Who is Ebert, or if it's Grok. What's the Grug? Grug. Yep. So it's like you've seen a lot of different flavors of how people are trying to build IPs and characters in this space. Why, like, again, like, I'm not trying to stroke the Who is Ebert back here, but like the difference that you saw with us, because it was so early. I think our market cap was like 80K when you found us.
Yeah,
it was so early. So like, I think the way that I explained it maybe was the thing that resonated with you. What was that thing, and why do you still see it to this day?
Yeah, man. No, I love it. And I'll say it from a consumer perspective and obviously a business perspective as well. But, from the consumer aspect too, it really awoke that inner child in me, when hearing about Ebert, talk about Ebert, and then, diving, because I remember the very first thing, this is what anyone asks Ebert, right? But, when I first met Ebert, that's the very first thing. It's what everyone says. They say, who the fuck is Ebert? What is Ebert? What the fuck is he? And then he always responds. He goes, well, Ebert is Ebert, And that in the moment he said that, man, it clicked, and it was like, you're right. It can be anything. It can be, it's up to your inner imagination and creativity. And so anything that ignites that spark of that inner child, that inner, limitless creativity with no, really set parameters or rules on what you can imagine, how you can imagine what it could be, captivated me. And then after diving in deeper, right, and then seeing the whole, enigmatic approach, the mystery, the conspiracy, the having to, want to solve, to figure things out. Why is this like this? Because once you look deeper into Ebert, you learn there's a method behind all the madness. Everything, every little rune or hieroglyphic or symbol you see on a certain image, or, it's everything plays a part in Ebert. And it made me feel like, I was watching like a Christopher Nolan film. It made me feel like I was a part of that film. Where it was like, I have to figure out what the fuck is going on, how it's happening. But then the limitless opportunity of perspective, and that's where, right, the Bertathon, the very first Bertathon, I was like, okay, this guy's got it down. He can use a little push and a little guidance and support in the right direction to let him know that he has something really fucking special here. But he's got a very, very, very fucking good core product, right? And so from the business perspective, man, I basically told him, I was like, look, the story and the content of this thing is everything. And I was like, what do you love doing? And he's like, I love making shit. Like, I love it. That's what I love to do. And I was like, okay, then let's make some shit. Let's put it out there. Let's get you talking more, bro. You got a great voice. I mean, we did our first space, and I pretty much like hounded him. I was like, no, we're going to start hosting spaces on Ebert. And he's like, are you sure? Like, I mean, that would be cool, but I don't know. And I was like, trust me, bro. Like, I'll take the reins. I'll lead the whole thing, and I'll put you in comfortable situations. And as we do more, you'll find the way, you'll find the feel, and you'll pop off. And obviously he has. He's a fucking phenomenal host now. Absolutely 10 out of 10. And it's very rare to find a founder, in Web3. And obviously all the projects that I work with, I'm very, very meticulous in my decision making. But, if you can find a founder that, again, core values, right? Trust, transparency, communication. If they have those three things and then an emphasis on community growth development, that's all they need. I'll tell you, anyone looking to invest in a project or anything, that's my secret sauce. If you can find a founder with trust, transparency, communication, and an emphasis on community growth development that loves their community, that project will be successful. I guarantee you. If it's not, I will literally pay you whatever the fuck you put in. That is how confident I am. That's my secret sauce. So, I come in and I'm like, all right, Ebert, we have this little community, little powwow group of people. Let's fucking amplify the fuck out of this. Let's take that feeling, that emotion, that captivated me as a consumer the first time seeing this, and let's duplicate it. Let's simplify it, and let's make it front facing for so many other people to see. So if you go back to our first spaces, you know, the original part of our spaces when we started were all about consumer acquisition, right? We wanted to get more diehard members. We wanted to get more, you know, people that not necessarily understood Ebert, but like saw Ebert and was like, oh, this is cool. I'm very interested. And so we were like, okay, what's our niche, man? You know, Roger Ebert. Okay, Ebert. Okay, film. Okay, people fucking love film, right? People love movies. People love TV shows. Let's talk about the wildest fucking TV shows and movies we've ever seen, why we love them, how we love them. And then let's start talking a little bit about the underground, you know, gems. And I think a big thing too that our community loved about us, and what I told Ebert from the very beginning, and I think he respected about me so much, was that, you know, I'm very transparent, you know, and the community knows this. Like, if I think something fucking sucks, I'm gonna say it, you know, because that's how you get to real growth. Like, if something is hot fucking ass or it's a terrible fucking decision, I will look you in the eyes. I will say, stop what you're doing. Don't be a fucking idiot. This is a terrible decision. This is why. If something's a great decision, a great idea, I'll be like, that is fucking amazing. That's phenomenal. It'll produce these, and these results, and we can amplify that. That'll feed into this goal. So yeah, we subliminally put that into the community, the expectation, basically through me, kind of being an asshole. You know, I'll never forget. Fucking what? Oh God, what is the musical lover? Jay Myers? I think Jay Myers. Who's
who?
The musical? My musical lover.
Oh, I don't know if he's a musical. MJ's the cinephile.
I hate fucking musicals. All right, I fucking hate them. Which is my own fault, you know. And MJ, because he's a cinephile, right? You know, he's more intelligent than me, has more appreciation of the film. You know, he's like, you got to watch this. And so, you know, I watched, you know, Les Miserables, and it was actually good. I enjoyed the story. I did singing, like, you know, fuck it, whatever. But I was like, okay, I'm in the musical mode. Let's go see the Joker. All right, I go see the fucking Joker, and holy fucking hell. I thought I wanted to shoot. I'm not going to say that, but you can assume what I was saying. It's the first time I've ever contemplated walking out of a movie theater, you know, because I'm not a stingy motherfucker, but like, you know, if I pay for something, I'm gonna get my bang for my buck, and I paid for that, and I wanted to ask for a refund. That is how fucking shit it was. So I come back, you know, to the Telegram, and I'm like, MJ, Joker is hot fucking ass. Musicals, I knew they were fucking shit. I can't believe I almost bought into this bullshit. And, you know, whole community starts getting riled up, laughing, dying, laughing and shit, going crazy and all that stuff. And, you know, but it creates trust. It creates that trust because they're like, okay, you know, Ebert and Rain, they're always going to tell us the truth, man. Jake, they're always going to tell us the truth. They're always going to give us their thoughts. And they're also always going to respect our thoughts. Like, I respect MJ's, you know, choice of movies. He has a lot of movies that I think are really fucking good. He has also a couple movies that, like, I'm like, I need to watch it again. I need to watch it again from your point of view here to see if I can get the same appreciation. But that's what we embody in our community, man. And, you know, it's only the beginning. We're popping off. I know I went on a big rant here, but yeah, I mean, hopefully I painted the picture here on a bit of a consumer pipeline into a business development pipeline into, you know, community growth development that, you know, shows why we have, I'd say probably the strongest, you know, actual internal foundation of a community on base.
Yeah, I think that, like, you know, one of the big differences, you found us so early, but you also realized that we had a long-term vision. And I think people with a long-term vision aren't focused on the short-term chart price action. They actually are just having conversations. I think, like, a lot of the conversations we tend to have are just about things that we like, and you know, sprinkled into that and woven into the community is project development. The things that you see every Wednesday and Monday, we're you know, announcing what we're doing, what we're building, why we're building it, when you can expect it. All these things are still part of our world. But at the very same time, if you want to have a real community, you actually have to connect with people on levels that you can connect with people on. It doesn't have to be like, well, you like crypto and I like crypto, so now we're a community. Community is a cliche word. We all know it. I think that, you know, our community is tight knit, and we have some really great people in our community who are always contributing and always present because we talk about things that we all like, you know, movies and cinephiles and all that stuff. It's always kind of a part of the conversation because it very well is the backdrop to, what we do, because we're building a film franchise. We're building a scripted animation franchise that will go into all these other verticals, just like a character franchise would. And the backdrop is that, okay, we all like movies. We all kind of understand what's being built here. So we can talk and we can communicate and we can understand what people like. And the meta to that, and I've mentioned this, and Anaroth, I forget if I mentioned this to you, is that the meta to that is that I think the people who are contributing their ideas to Ebert's world and to the ECU, which is the Ebert Cinematic Universe, the people that are contributing their ideas and sharing their vision and sharing their interpretation is kind of like lore evolution, ongoing. It's like a real-time evolving lore. And not all of it finds its way to the top, but a lot of it kind of gets built into the lore just contextually. Like we had one of our HBs, his name is Desmodus. He's probably at work right now, but he came up with this secondary character named Peblenstein. And Peblenstein is just this random rock that can communicate telepathically with Ebert. And we did like an NFT drop on one. So it's just, these things kind of find their way into the content just because everybody here is really interested in similar things. And we all kind of have this vision and we're all aligned on what we're doing. I would say, though, that Jake, articulates his thoughts way better than you and I, Rain. I definitely would have to just vote for, if we need a public speaker and anytime, anywhere, I would probably kick that over to Jake just because he can articulate way better than I can. But yeah, no, I think that the resonance of what you found in us early is really the key to why we've built in the way we have. One other note, and then I would kick it over to you guys, is just the content that we're making and the kind of accessibility of the content to a worldwide audience is really important. And I think it's something in Web3 that we haven't necessarily seen too much of. A lot of the content revolves around trading. A lot of the content revolves around charts and and quick gifs about people getting rich really fast, which is, it's all well and good. But then a lot of the content that we also see is very crude and not accessible by a younger audience. Where we'll be exploring high concept themes, yes, in Ebert's lore, we'll also kind of have accessibility to, a wide audience. There's no dialogue. There wouldn't be cursing and, or anything that would kind of dictate a rating that is out of bounds for a worldwide audience. So I think that that's just an important thing to mention as well. It's going to be this kind of, all accessible content, and you can kind of take from it what you want. And I know that, Jake and I are Papa Berts. Like that's definitely something that we are really passionate about, that, that our kids can watch, Ebert content and get something out of it, whether it's just colorful and they love it, or whether there's, themes that they can connect with, whether they're old enough to do that. Like these are the things that I think really, that's where I think that the paradigm shift sits, is when content like this comes out. I would recommend for everybody in here to go watch Rise of Blues. Take a look at Rise of Blues, because what I just said about the accessibility of what we're making is also very present in that series. There's so many themes about adolescence and a kid who has a dream and wants to be a certain thing, but also at the very same time, maybe there are these forces that are kind of at work that are holding that away from him, and he's kind of fighting for it. And I think that it's a really important theme for young kids to see and to understand. Like, I can chase my dream. I can take a risk. I can do this. And, they base it in this really interesting, creative world. And I think that I pinned that, or I think maybe Anaroth pinned that to the top. Do go check that out. It's, the episodes are available to watch and you won't be disappointed. And I think you'll be stunned with just the quality of, just the score is absolutely beautiful. Like it's just really, it's real. It's a very real show. And I think that it's just a promising thing to see stuff like that come out in this space. So before, I think that we're probably getting toward the end of Space in the Deep. I wanted to announce our Birdathon winner. So I know we kind of went on a couple of tangents, and the rants are most welcome here. So absolutely perfect. And I'm probably I told Anaroth on the side, I'm probably going to clip your rant because that was epic. But I wanted to announce our Birdathon winner, which is, drum roll, Piz Jinx. It's actually your first Birdathon win as well, I believe. And you just became an HB, which is equally as awesome. So golf claps from the HB squad, from the Legion. Congratulations. The answer was the Bash Plamy tablet. It was found in Georgia in a lake. and it's basically like a disc-sized shape, and it has these characters on it that, which I think to this day still have not been identified. And then the interpretation that Piz dropped as well is, I think, equally as awesome. She said, "The threads of existence are woven in harmony with the stars. To understand the whole, seek the spaces between, where silence whispers, truths unspoken, and the infinite reveals itself in the infinite." Really awesome. That was your interpretation of what the tablet says. And because you were on the space from top to bottom, I'm gonna drop you some free months on Telegram Premium as well. So you get the Ebert tokens, and you stayed here from top to bottom on Space from the Deep episode 15. I'm gonna drop you some free Telegram Premium, so you can use, I guess you can use like animated emojis in your title and all different sorts of things like that. But I think that that's all I had for Bertathon win. I'll announce that on Telegram and X, so everyone knows that they can stop with submitting answers, because I it's very fatiguing reading reading all the answers, trying to keep up. But yeah, I think that would be it from me. I don't know if you guys had any last words you wanted to throw into the crew just to kind of leave us off, but yeah, go for it. What do you got?
Well, I just want to tell first, Piz, good shit, buddy. Good shit.
Congrats.
That's fucking crazy. I don't know how a tablet got in this lake, or see, I can't stand this shit, bro. I'm not even gonna go down the rabbit hole. It's doing it. My brain's already fucking going. Like, this is real. I just need to know, like, that this fucking tablet thing is real.
Yeah, Jake would be a good person to ask about this as well. He knows about this one.
No, Jake would give me the whole fucking.
It's real.
What we doing? What we doing?
I'll share a link into the Telegram. It's real text. It's a real etching found into, I think it was like a basalt tablet, or I forget exactly what it was, but they've never been able to kind of break it down into what language this is. It's completely unknown. It's not. I mean, it's like, what's that?
Is it dated? Like,
I think that they tried to carbon date it, but they found it in 2021.
Is that the one? Yeah, is that the one they found in Georgia?
Yes, it was in a lake in Georgia.
Yeah, yep. I know that one.
Insane. Okay. Yeah, they were trying to like break it down from like a Sumerian derivative. Like, there's all different sorts of like origins that they were trying to tie to it, and I don't think they've been able to decipher it.
So yeah, let's not dive into it, because this will get me going, and I won't be able to stop. And I think we're over time. I don't know how long, Anaroth is here, but did we ask him the guest question? Did we ask him the guest question?
Oh, no. Well, this is your question to ask. This is always your question to ask. Okay, yeah, please. This will be our sign out. This will be our sign out. Is roll out the red carpet for the guest and ask the question that needs to be asked. Rain, it's all you, buddy.
All right, man. Yeah, all right, Anaroth, I don't want to scare you, buddy. This is probably the most important question we ask any guest. I'm not even kidding. Like, it's not serious, but it actually is super serious, because you're gonna get judged, right? Not in a negative way, but maybe not in a positive way. But as you know, the Ebert community. What's the word here? How would you describe them, Ebert, man? They're very passionate, especially when it comes to film.
Real cinephiles.
Yeah, they are ride or fucking die. All right. So I'm gonna ask you a question, Anaroth. Tell me if you're ready.
I am ready, sir.
Buddy. All right. No pressure. You got this. This is very important. Okay. In no order, we need you to tell us your top 3 movies of all time. It can be any genre. It can be indie film, major films, doesn't matter. Just your top 3 movies of all time. And now, before you go, you're going to get like a real big awkward silence. The moment you say a movie, you're either going to get a shit ton of emotes from the community on if they approve or disapprove. Just ignore that, okay? All right? Because I don't want you to get scared here. I remember the first time I did this, I was fucking terrified, all right? But this locks you into the Ebert community, man. This is like sharing a part of your soul with the Ebert community, man. So we love you. We appreciate your time here. And I'm very excited to hear your top 3 films. Take it away, buddy, whenever you're ready.
All right. So I would say, in no particular order, The 25th Hour, one of my favorite movies. Cheesy, yes, but I fucking love Good Will Hunting. Love Good Will Hunting. Like just a great movie. I cried in Good Will Hunting. Like Bring It On. Like great movie. And I have a good memory of the first time that I watched Interstellar, and that movie was just like primo. And it's one of the movies I can go back and watch like again and again. I'm like, yeah, I'm in.
Nolan.
I'm in. So like those would be three. Those would be
I'll
three.
tell you, man, you named a Christopher Nolan film. Like that alone, the community will get very excited about that.
Rain
Ebert, talk
Fruit.
a little bit about 25th Hour. I've never heard of this movie.
Oh my God. Anaroth. I mean, like, I love 25th Hour. So I think that I kind of want to hear what you like about 25th Hour, and then I'll fill in the gaps.
Dude, it's such a deep cut. Like I don't like a lot of people don't know about it, but it's like it was like peak Edward Norton, and he just did this great movie.
Spike Lee, right?
It's just like I think so, but it's just about this dude. It's like it's his 25th hour, like before he's going to prison, and like it isn't what you would expect in so many ways, and you're just like oof, oof. But like every time I've watched that movie, I'm just like I think it's one of those great things where like it isn't the conversation like you normally get to have or get to see, right? Like those are some of the things that really stood out for me in that movie. But it's a deep cut. It's rare that I actually haven't watched it in a while. I might have to go back and watch that one again. But it's
That's
one of the
always worth a
favorites.
rewatch. I mean, any Spike Lee movie. I just looked it up. It's a Spike Lee movie. His style is so unique and so original. Like if you've ever seen Do the Right Thing, or I mean, 25th Hour is a perfect example. Like it's so like it's just so different. So I think if you've never watched any Spike Lee films, like me, from like the filmmaking standpoint, loved it just because it's so stylized and so different and so like 25th Hour is like very intimate. And I think that it just, I love 20. I haven't seen this in years. So I think I'll probably go back and rewatch. That's a great drop. I mean, Rain, I think Anaroth knocked it out of the park with the Interstellar name drop too. That's a big one. That's a big one. The Nolan drop is a big one for Rain.
I mean, come on, man. I just watched Interstellar again 2 days ago with my cat. You know, I have a little bit of this movie theory, man, where call me fucking crazy, bro. I swear I'll record it next time. My cat, I kid you fucking not, he is a movie critic, man. He is a diehard movie critic. You know, he has a spot on the couch where his blanket's out, and I'll call him up there and I'll turn on a movie. If he likes the movie, he will face the TV and he will watch wide-eyed the entire movie front to start. If he doesn't like the movie, he'll turn, put his ass towards the TV, and then just stare at me until I fucking change it, you know, or put on a different movie. So he loved Interstellar. Now it could be because like there's so much flashing lights and shit, maybe for a cat, fucking get him locked in. But he also, like, his top 3 movies, I'd say by far, are Madagascar 1. He is a fucking Madagascar fiend. I don't know what it is, but he loves that fucking movie. Interstellar, definitely number 2. And then number 3 would probably have to be, you know, he's a kid, right? He's only like 8. So like, don't judge him. He's big on Disney. Probably Moana. He likes the chicken. If y'all remember the little fucking chicken in Moana, that got him pretty excited. So, no, great fucking movie list, Anaroth. 25th Hour. I'm looking at it right now. Can't believe I haven't seen this. I'm a huge Edward Norton guy. I see Philip Seymour Hoffman's in it too. And crazy good reviews, man. I'm looking at just some internal review stuff here, and it looks really, really, really fucking good. And it has a dog in it, you know. Anything that has to do with a dog or an animal, I get pretty attached to pretty quickly. So, Anaroth, it's been a pleasure, bro. We love you. Hopefully, this is the first of many, you know, Spaces from the Deep that we can have you on board. I will recommend, if you're a conspiracy theorist guy, we do have Uncle Mikey coming on soon. He's coming on soon. I'm not going to tell you anything else because I think it would be funny, as someone who is a credible speaker as yourself, to not know anything about Uncle Mikey, to then just be throwing a conversation with him. I think that would make pretty good fucking content. I'm just going to put that out there. But Ebert, I'll throw it back to you. God, dude, this is one last thing I'll say, Ebert. I want to get your mind cooking real quick.
Yeah.
I know, my ideas. Okay. And everyone chime in on this too. Have you guys found, so like I watch a lot of I have a bunch of smart TVs, right? Fire TVs, Roku TVs, all that shit, whatever. I have found recently, trying to watch like really good old movies, they're like not on any streaming platforms, or if they are, they're like on like fucking like Tubi, and like I can't buy it. I have to watch like 50 fucking ads, or they're on what's that other shit? Pluto. I gotta watch a bunch of fucking ads. Or I have to rent it like from Amazon. So just food for thought, you know, putting it out there. Ebert streaming service with obviously IPs that people really don't give a fuck about anymore, that we could probably get for pretty cheap. You know, to stream out really, really good fucking movies. Like I watched just the last part of this. I watched Brahms, Dracula. And I had to fucking rent it on Prime Video. That was the only way I could fucking get it. Phenomenal movie. If you haven't seen that, in my opinion, probably the best Dracula film out of them all. But yeah, but this has happened to me like 4 times. I guarantee. Let me look this up. 25th Hour, where to watch. Here we go. Ready? I'm gonna look this up. Where to
It's
watch.
why I'm such a big physical media fan. Like I've been collecting Blu-rays for years, and it's like it's really hard to find stuff. And Mubi is really maybe one of the only places that you can find stuff on. The Criterion Channel is another one for older movies. But at the same time, it'll be available for 6 months, and then it won't be available ever again. It's why I've always collected physical media. Like I watched a movie called Things to Come, for example, which is a sci-fi movie from the 30s. Where are you going to see that if you don't have a Blu-ray for it? And it's a restored Blu-ray, so it's like 35 millimeter film restored. It's all black and white. It's beautiful film, but you can't. I mean, you can't sign on to Netflix and watch that. So, you know, Fantastic Planet is another perfect example that has like been a huge influence on my style of art. The René Laloux film from the 70s. Yeah, no, you can't see that anywhere. Maybe on the Criterion Channel, but again, it's for me, physical media all the way. Or you create your own streaming platform and get the rights to some of these. Let's say it was a sci-fi themed streaming platform, and it just celebrated all the old sci-fi films. You know, all the independent sci-fi films, like the Tarkovsky films. If anyone is a Tarkovsky fan, like Solaris, totally changed, you know, the way that I think about sci-fi and what you can do with sci-fi. So, you know, I'm with it. Movie theater, streaming platform, it's all part of Rain's grand plan. I'm in full support.
Drive-in movie theater. Come on.
Drive-in. Sorry.
I found land in Michigan. I've got to budget it out. $810,000.
Not bad.
Not that bad.
Not bad.
Not that bad at all.
It's not bad. We would have a, oh man, that would be so crazy. That could be the first Bert meetup. It could be in Michigan.
Bro.
It could be.
If you own if you have an honorary Bert, right? Free access to movie theater forever, right? To all movies.
Free tickets.
You know, if you buy, right? If you own a Bert NFT, bro. Oh, Jake, don't get your dick too hard here, buddy. But that thing that we were talking about, that thing and the other thing, I think that thing, movie ticket raffles as part of the prize. Low cost on our end, nice reward for others. Just little with the thing about the thing with the thing without me saying the thing. You know what I'm saying about that thing?
I like that thing, man. The thing about the thing. Yeah, it gives you the thing as well. Yeah.
Good thing. It's just like that thing that Ebert was talking about, like the movie about the thing, the sci-fi thing, you know? It's fucking full circle. Full fucking circle, man. Anaroth is like, what the fuck are these guys? What is this space? He's like, what is happening?
It's all
what is the thing?
It's all cryptic. No one really knows.
This is pretty average for a crypto space. Let's be honest. Like I'm not trying to like put you down anyway. I'm just saying, like in general, this is pretty average for crypto space. It's pretty spot on.
Expected.
Okay. Real quick, I'm gonna let you close out, Ebert. I'm fucking sorry. I'm just having too much fun today. Last question I have to add. You know, entertainment value here. Anaroth, where does The Social Network rank on your top movies?
You know, I was a little worried. I wasn't sure if I was allowed to say that one because you called me out earlier. I'm like, I don't know if that's a thing.
You can,
but no, it's a great movie. I really enjoyed that movie. And I will say, like Jesse Eisenberg, he's a great actor. I agree with you. He's phenomenal. And that's not me talking about myself in the third person in any way. Good. And I think the easiest way for you to know that I'm not Jesse is I would have created far more animation if I had Jesse's money.
Okay.
Far more animation.
That's a good point.
Damn it. We should. I bet I could get Jesse Eisenberg. I bet. Let me go through my contacts, bro. I have a buddy who's cousins with McLovin, like a really good high school friend. If you all remember McLovin, I don't remember the fucking actor, but yeah, McLovin. But I bet I'm off the rails here. Fuck it. But just imagine Anaroth in a space with Jesse Eisenberg in a space, talk to each other. It would be pretty fucking funny.
It would trip.
Yeah, right?
It would be amazing. It would be a space too deep for the ages.
Take it away, man. Great space too deep. I'm done talking. I've had a blast. Fucking amazing.
I know. I think these are important questions to ask. These are important questions to ask, but I think it's also a beautiful place to close it out on. I think the movie drops were great. The 2 movies that we have coming out of today are 25th Hour and Brazil. So do your homework. If you guys need any recommendations on where to find them, we will let you know, because we have the same questions as well. So we appreciate you all. Congrats, Piz Jinx, on the BAT win. You're a legend, an HB at that. We appreciate everyone for being here. Thanks for kicking it for the entire space too, if you've been here since the beginning. This was Space in the Deep, episode 15. Next week, episode 16. We're here every Fridays, 11 a.m. Eastern. We appreciate you. We'll see you next week. Thank you, everybody.